Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Jacob's Ladder. I am your host, of course, Jacob Israel, and I'm happy that everybody's here. What an exciting time we are living in. We have a new pope. That alone should have everybody very excited. But I wonder if there's more to the story. I wonder if we peel back some of the later layers and we start to speculate a little bit, if we'll find that perhaps there is a deeper message here and something that maybe gives us a little insight into the future. The name of the Pope that is now being celebrated, Pope Leo, is quite profound, historically significant. It was Pope Leo III that crowned Charlemagne the Great and created the Holy Roman Empire. It's ironic because we've been talking about a new Rome that is rising. And today we see a new Rome indeed, one where America the Great, my friends, is spoken of. This is so incredibly significant and wonderful that I can't even begin to tell you. Almost surreal was the news. When that white smoke came up and the world knew that a pope had been chosen. Of course, a lot of people reached out to me and they said, Jacob, what do you have to share about all of this? Do you have any insight? I hinted a couple of times before. I had said that this pope will have to be somehow connected to the MAGA movement. But a lot of people are saying that he may be a woke pope. We're going to get into all of this and more, and we're going to find that the story is just getting started, and my goodness, I'm excited. But this man from Chicago, the very first American pope, let me say that again, the very first American pope. That's huge. That's huge. I don't think you realize it. They had said that this would never happen because it would make America too powerful. But not just, from, we'll say, Albuquerque, New Mexico, or from, wherever you live, but from Chicago. One of the very significant cities in the United States of America. An American pope from a big city. I wonder if I've heard that story before. In fact, I have. But before we get into that, let's talk about his name, which, ironically enough, means the prefect, or the person who's actually put in charge of and given the responsibility of running the show. So on May 8th, during the conclave involving 133 cardinal electors, just 24 hours. It didn't even take that long. It was the fourth round. My goodness, how interesting. And he chose the name Leo. Leo, the lion that roars, seeking whom it may devour, and the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Dave, thank you so much for the super chat. And I want to welcome you all, and I hope that you can do me a favor. Hit the like button. Let's get some more people here. Do you know that Pope Leo, he is now going to be the 14th, because the 13th, who was his predecessor, going to find that number 13 and that number 17, of course, we've talked about it many times on the channel. There were cicadas. There were two broods. There was a 17-year brood and a 13-year-old brood. And we talked about how those numbers were significant. One symbolizing resurrection and life and new beginnings, and one symbolizing death. This is all going to make sense. But there was a Pope, 111, the third, who, well, sort of created the Roman Empire, but not just the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. God anointed the Roman Empire with Pope Leo. It was no longer just a Roman Empire. Now it was an empire that was ordained by God. Could that be what's going to come of America the Great? It's an interesting time we're in. I've made jokes about President Trump. God bless him and lead him and guide him, which is what we should be doing. Because I do believe that things are changing. I did say this to you. And I have a feeling that maybe, perhaps, this would be quite, if we're going to speculate, something that maybe we can put out there and say, could that be the case? In fact, President Trump, he's very, very well known for being on the cover of Time magazine as an emperor, as a king. He put out this NFT right there that I shared on the thumbnail, where you see him. See, that's not just a king, that is a godly king. Just as Charlemagne was crowned emperor of the Romans by the Pope Leo in 800. 8 means new beginnings. It's the Ouroboros. 8, you're going to find, is connected to this story. Because yes, in fact, I did put some stuff out about the Pope. And yes, in fact, I stumbled onto something. And yes, in fact, I kind of called it. Within an 8-minute span of time. 8 minutes, exactly. I didn't know what I was doing. I just had a vibe. When the news broke that the new Pope was picked, they wanted to know who it was. They didn't know who it was. And I, for whatever reason, got the vibe in my head that I need to put out the fact that he was, let me show you. Let me see if I can get this for you right here. He was, where is it now? What is going on? Did I lose it? I will be very upset if I lost this. The young Pope. I just put that post out. I didn't know why. I just had a feeling, I had a vibe that the young Pope was going to be a thing. And then here we are with the young Pope in charge. You know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to transfer over and I'm going to show it to you because for whatever reason, sometimes maybe it's gremlins or something, but it looks like I lost this. Now this is from the young Pope. Now let me just close this out and you'll see that on May 8th, okay, at that time, 1:09 p.m., I posted, the new Pope has been chosen. Let it be like the HBO movie, please. That's Jude Law playing the young Pope, who was a big city American Pope. Can you believe that? And welcome to the Israelites. Thank you, Bearded Star, for joining. By the way, you can all join if you want to join the channel, want to be a channel member. I appreciate it. But I put this out at 1:09 p.m. And then what it was, let's take a look so you can see exactly when his name was announced. And I find it to be quite interesting because he stepped out exactly at 7:11 p.m., which Eastern Standard Time, my time, would be 1:11. So the announcement began at 1:11 and the name Provost, which means placed in charge, exactly is named exactly at 7:14. 1:14. 1:14. 1:14. Exactly 8 minutes after I put out that post. I find that interesting. But this is where it gets a little bit strange. The Young Pope, which is an awesome series. If you haven't seen it, let me just open this up and make sure that it's muted, because we don't want to play that and get hit with anything. But this is the opening to the young pope, and I want you to take a look at it. As it's passing by, you'll see that there is, up here, you'll see that there is like a comet or a star, okay? And he's walking, and that comet, it follows him. And then here we see, that's the slaughter at St. Bartholomew's. Someone pointed this out to me, actually, and said that this is where he winks over that picture. Now, once again, this is just an HBO series, but here's where it gets weird. The end of it, it ends with the Pope, that's Pope John Paul, by the way, Pope John Paul II, getting hit with a meteor. It's a very strange ending to a very strange opening to a show about the very first American Pope. I find it all very convenient. I find it very exciting and strange. The young Pope. And now we have a relatively young new Pope from a big city as well, from Chicago. Whereas Pope John Paul was 59, he's 69. I'm sure Elon Musk gets a kick out of that. His address, by the way, beautiful, beautiful. But let me show you this right here. So there's my post. I actually found it. The new Pope has been chosen. Let it be like the HBO movie. And then here we were 8 minutes later, 7:14. And that is exactly what ends up happening. A new Rome, perhaps, is forming. But you have to tell me in the comments section if you think that that's the case. Do you think? Gene Splice is saying in the live chat that there are 111 months separating the births of Pope Leo and Donald John Trump. I find that to be awesome. That's a really great find. I don't know if that's the case, but we know that the numbers 111 are symbolic. It means, well, it means a couple of things. It's the 3 pillars in Freemasonry. It also means unholy, abominable. Numbers on the channel, I don't know. I'm not into the gematria, but I find it interesting because they come up again and again and again. But this, the fact that we have now an American Pope, the fact that out of the blue, boom, I get this idea about an American Pope from the young Pope and I put it out. I thought it would have been cool if it was the bishop who got excommunicated, or the cardinal, Vigano, Archbishop Vigano, because he was always talking about the deep state and he loved Donald Trump. That was the guy that I was hoping would get in there, but this is even more interesting. It's an American Pope. How much more American can you get than to have the Catholic Church run by and the world run by America the Great? But in that opening of the young Pope, Lenny, a young New Yorker, becomes the first American Pope, taking the name Pius XIII. His unconventional and conservative approach and personality challenges the Catholic traditions. Sounds like something interesting to me. Sounds like, wouldn't that be the case if this is indeed what this speculation says? Because some people are saying that he is not very much like Donald Trump at all, that he is more woke, because he had a little back and forth with J.D. Vance on X. I don't know if you heard about it. J.D. Vance said basically that the way it works is you love God first, then you love your family, then you love your neighbors, then you love everybody else. Vance is leading people, right? I like J.D., but he is wrong, and the new Pope was good to correct him. The only pecking order is God and others. You love God, you love others. You know, a border does not stop whether or not you're supposed to love them, and be concerned with their well-being. Just something that I like to point out. You take with it what you want. But he challenged the traditions, and the series explored this complex impact of faith. But there you see the meteor. And there you see John Paul being hit by it. Now, this is where it gets weird. I remember a show that I did back in 2020. What does the Pope, a huge comet, and the Nibiru have in common? You probably noticed that's John Paul holding a meteor above his head, standing in a bunch of water that looks like it's filled with blood. Now, the opening of the young Pope sequence depicts a meteor striking a sculpture of John Paul, knocking it over. It's a reference to a controversial art piece called The Ninth Hour in 1999, which portrays Pope John Paul II felled by a meteorite. The meteorite in the show's opening evolves from a shooting star that moves through a series of religious paintings, symbolizing a dramatic shift or a judgment, possibly on the church and its legacy. So there you see the picture of the opening, and there you see the artwork. Now, the artwork, which was done, by the way, commissioned in Warsaw. Poland unveiled the Pope not being felled by the meteorite, but a renewed version of it. One where he was actually a superhero. Superheroes unite. We got a lot of superheroes going on right now. We got a lot of superheroes. We got the Peacemaker movie on HBO coming out. Have you heard about that one? John Cena? John Cena seems to be connected to a lot of cool stuff all the time. Peacemaker, tomorrow. The trailer comes out today. On May 8th, which was the same day where we got the announcement of the Pope, which was also the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the celebration of World War II coming to an end, which Donald Trump has said is now a holiday. We're the reason that it happened. Remember, history is written by the victors. So this just really blew my mind. Now, of course, the picture to the left is Donald Trump. He put that little post out. And of course, the White House on May 3rd, they shared it from his Truth Social account. And I just posted, I said, he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. Does this picture offend you? Donald Trump's about as American as it gets as the Pope. And now we have an American Pope, and people are saying, did he predict it? Sort of like the same thing as saying, like, well, would I put that little post out of the young Pope? Because it's an American Pope and because he shakes things up and he's a very conservative Pope. Would that mean that I predicted? I don't know. I don't think so. I just think that if we look at things as they happen, we see that God's hand is in charge of it all. Just as the peacemaker is with that eagle. And you remember, I just shared this in the show, where The Economist magazine shared, the beaten, broken eagle on its cover of its magazine. And now here we are. I mean, my goodness gracious. And it was exactly what? One day before The Economist magazine portrayed, it was 118 weeks in one day. 18. On 118, I shared a dream that I have where there was this eagle that was dirty and weathered. It was a wet, bald eagle perched on a railing outside my home. The sad, once majestic bird was now alone, waiting for food from me. What does it mean? And then here, almost an identical picture of that eagle is shared. It's just strange. When these things happen, they are just strange to me. And I think to myself, there's got to be a deeper meaning. So I keep looking. I keep peeling back layers, Like the fact that his name is, he's chosen the name Leo, which we know means lion, which many people compare Donald Trump to, which Donald Trump exactly 17 days before the Pope was chosen and named, he posted a selfie, an AI image of him roaring with a lion behind him. And I just shared it I was on January 22nd, which is 3 months, 2 weeks, 2 days ago. Well, 2 days before the Pope is chosen. Weirder still, the only viral video I have ever had, ever, on X. Now, you know that I rely on a lot of you. I rely on a lot of you to share my videos around, to support the channel. It's hard not to get stressed out and worried and concerned. We're supposed to just trust God. But, we live in a world where you need help sometimes, right? So when I ask you, will you hit the like button? Don't take it as an offense. Help. It helps. Share the video around. Get involved. You want to become a member of Patreon? In the links, all you got to do is go to the description of the video and all the links are there. You can join Patreon. You can support on PayPal. I have all of people are sending me pictures of their children. I'm getting all this wonderful mail. I have snail mail. You want to send me a letter? Send me a letter. I could use the encouragement. My P.O. box and everything, it's in the description of the video. When I do these shows, it's I feel like they're so insignificant and so important, and I wish that they could, reach more people, but I don't have any say in how it gets out there. If the Lord wants something to go viral, it'll go viral. And the video that went viral is connected to the new Pope. It was a post that I put out on April 22nd that read, "Anew. Rome is now here." And that was 17 days after. So that was think about this. 17 days ago, I shared my video, this viral video, where I talked about the death of Francis and the WEF losing and how it was 333 days between on the 111 day. So here we have, I write a new Rome is rising. That new Rome would be the Holy Roman Empire. So you see how I start to think that there's something to this. But there are two lions in Scripture that we concern ourselves with. There's the lion of the tribe of Judah, and then there's the lion who's the adversary, seeking whom it may devour. 2. So when he put out this picture, I thought to myself, lion, who's going to be behind Donald Trump, ready to roar with him? And now we have Leo. God is sovereign or something, right? God is in control. God is sharing all of this stuff and showing us all of this. Now, I want to point some things out, okay, before everybody gets so super excited about this, because he is from Chicago, big city, Americano, right? He was in Peru. Even Larry was sending me stuff all about Pachamama, because you remember when Francis brought in all the idols and the Pachamama, and they did a big pagan ceremony. I did a show about it, and I was hoping that I could have made a connection to our new Pope, but no, I can't, because he wasn't there at that time. But Larry also did share some of the memes that are going around from Chicago, which I really do think are pretty awesome. It's they're known for, their sports, of course. And the joke, the Chicago Bears, even I can't help you, is I think hits on the head, but not really just because of that, but because of the fact that, well, a bear is not great in Scripture. Neither is Baal, the bull. That's the Chicago Bull. A bear is not great. A bear, actually, I posted this just recently. I said, as a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over a poor people. Now, I'm not saying that, that he's going to be a wicked ruler. You know me. My belief and my hope is that this is all going to be gravy for the good people, the people that are doing, good things. They're being neighborly and loving and kind, and they're helping others. But I reminded everybody just recently on 122, that's January 22nd, Lion of the tribe of Judah, or a roaring lion seeking whom it may devour. I say, you get the lion you deserve. 13:17. Some will rise to everlasting life. Some will rise to age-abiding condemnation, correction. Our first pope from Chicago, who, by the way, has African roots. There's some talk right now that he actually could be the very first pope who is black. I haven't gotten all of the info into that, but I would love to hear people stop talking about color. When we're dealing with the things of God, God doesn't look to the outward man. He looks to the heart. He looks to the heart. Are you doing good? That's what God wants. If you do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. That's the way it works out. So now I want to read this to you, because the first translation that I read, this is when he came out. Okay, when he came out to begin with, he said, "Peace be with you all. Dearest brothers and sisters, this is the first greeting of the risen Christ." And I said, what? Does he just call himself the risen Christ? Now, this is a translation. It could be a bad translation, because I saw another translation later that said this was the first greeting, because that's what he was saying. His first greeting was peace. Peace. So really, those were his first words. The first word he spoke, peace. Significant. Peacemakers coming out. According to Scripture, and I like to just let you know that it's not like all going to be wonderful and great, but peace is on the horizon. If you look at the book of Revelation, what ends up happening, though, however, is it's cut short. Like a peace deal's made, and then it's cut short. I'm not going to get into all that, because I don't want to be negative Nancy, But this man, overwhelmed by all this. Now, I'm not a Catholic, but my poppy is. And I just was at the Catholic Church, and I read from the book of Isaiah, and I have my grandfather's ring, and I looked into this. This was the only heirloom that he had. My nanny gave it to him. This is an onyx stone. Do you know that onyx stones are given to high priests? Like an onyx stone is like a big deal. And it's given. It was like bequeathed to me. I think it's fascinating, because we come from a very poor family. And my pop, who is right there, and then my nanny, who loves elephants, right there on the set with me. My grandfather, very Catholic. My nanny, very Catholic. They would have loved this, to have an American pope. I know that there are Catholics everywhere that are loving this. And all we can do is hope and pray that, just like that show, The Young Pope, that this new pope, Pope Leo, that he does something that's going to be good. The problem is, however, he has some issues. Okay, I find it a little weird that just, I don't know, not too much. I would say April 23rd, I put this out about the Pope and the new Pope. I said, when the head of your church covers up abuse and refuses to act on it or acknowledge victims, it's a good call your church is sick. And then I wrote, may God place a holy man after God's own heart as Pope to reform their church and make it safe. I think it would be hard for that to happen, seeing as you probably wouldn't be high up in the Catholic Church if you were really like a man after God's own heart. I don't think so. Unless, of course, you get there and really God has impressed upon you that there's a better way, that there's a new way. There's like a lot of issues. I'm not going to get into, pointing them all out, like changing the 10 Commandments and calling no man father on this earth. And here we are. By the way, the priest loved my rendition. He loved the way I read it. I wanted to tell him, I quote Scripture all the time, But so here's the deal. So this is today's news. So I wrote hoping that we wouldn't hear of any kind of like terrible cover-ups or anything else going forward. But now, right into the chute, Pope Leo, the new leader of the 1.4 billion Roman Catholics, has been accused of looking the other way. Survivors groups claim that he's failed to act upon accusations. What's weird is I covered one of these stories years ago. I couldn't find it. I was really upset. I was like, I searched a lot trying to find it and track it down. I think it had something to do with the apparitions and all of that stuff when they changed the rules on the apparitions, which is connected to that video that I did. Let me see if I could find it to you. The one that went viral, because it was connected to that. There's a new day and a new law and a new rule of how they're going to decide what's a miracle, what's not a miracle. Recently, they took a young boy and they sainted him because of this TikTok or something. Did a video about that. But here's the thing. Even in Peru, there were 2 priests that were facing accusations of abuse under his supervision. So this is not just once that this has happened. This has happened a couple of times. You know? This has happened a couple of times. And this is really sad because you don't want to hear stuff like that, because you know that people in positions of power will often abuse those positions of power. But this whole thing started with that video that went viral. I want to play it for you. I just want to play it for you. And I find it appropriate now. Okay, so here it is. And if you take a look at it, look at how many views it had. I mean, that's not a normal occurrence. All right, so let's just take a listen to this. And I may not play all of it, but just enjoy this. There's more. Showing us that maybe miracles are real. Showing us that maybe if we just had faith the size of a mustard seed, we could say to this corrupt, terrible world, get going. And next thing you know, you're going to hear about all these people. They're going to be gone. They're going to either step down, they're going to be revealed to be corrupt. I don't know if you noticed. This is something that I've been saying for a long time. Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again, and welcome to a day of miracles. Started off recently, we talked a little bit about the Vatican and how they were going to have their meeting, which was, if you include the end date, it was exactly 40 days from that sign of Jonah eclipse that we talked about, because it hit Nineveh and all those places. 40 days later, and all of a sudden, it seems that the Pope and the Vatican as a whole is concerned about how people are going to handle and classify miracles going forward. I don't want to go too far into this video because I was very bummed to find out that for whatever reason, my video on the Pope and his passing, which was handled very, very well, in my opinion, because of course it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing for anyone to pass away. I mean, he was an old man. He was 88, 88's a very significant number. It's the amount of days that Mercury takes to go around the sun. A friend of mine just told me that, who's having a hard time. It's interesting. A lot of people are having a hard time today. But yeah, so they said, oh no, you can't use this one. It was just a bummer. I was thinking about that as I was playing, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should stop. But maybe we need somebody who's actually going to really do the things of God, that's going to come and it's going to make things better. God is in charge after all. Who watched the Kentucky Derby? Who placed your bets on what I picked and made a lot of money? I usually do a Kentucky Derby show. I didn't do it. At the last minute, I put a little post out. I explained what Neo-Equus meant, and then I put my guess. I said, the sovereignty of God will render judgment on Neo-Equus. Said it would be cool if it was so ordered. And then I gave you a second guess. And then, of course, 18. Here you go. That's the horse number, 18. And sovereignty won. You know, I thought it would have been cool if it was in order, because Render Judgment was one of the other horses, but I think it was like sovereignty, and then it went to journalism, and then grand scheme of things, who cares? But God's in charge, you know, God's in charge. I can't really decide whether or not every video that I do is going to be passed along. I can't decide whether or not you're going to like the video or you're going to share. It's out of my control. All I can do is come on here and share what I've been feeling. And I got to tell you, I think something interesting may happen. You know, Trump, they're already talking about his next term. You know, a nation devoted to God, huge. But a nation devoted to God that's in charge of the whole world, that's mega huge. You know? Question becomes, though, however, is it devoted to God? We're going to hope and we're going to pray. I know that if we devote ourselves to loving others, to doing good, I know that the world will get better. I know that all of you here will get better. I thank all of you. I didn't even ask. See, I usually ask for people to hit the like. Let me see how many people hit the like. I barely asked today, just to point this out. People ask why I do it. It's because there's only 300 of you hit the like. So please do me a favor. Do it now. Leave me a little comment. Share it around. Tell your friends. Go into the description of the video if you want to support the channel. Don't think that, there are other people hitting the like. There are other people sharing. I don't need to do that. Jacob's doing all right for himself. Look, I make things look better than they are, right? Because I put a lot of work into this. And I do love the fact that I said maybe a new Rome was rising, and we got a new Rome. Got an American Pope. It's a new day, my friends. All right, I love each and every one of you. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for spending. Do me a favor, pray for me. Pray for my family. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for your family. Make an end to any arguments you have. Call up the people that you think you're waiting for them to apologize. Just apologize. Say, look, I'm sorry. We're fighting. Let's let it go and let's move forward. Let's do something. If there's anything that I can do for you that would matter in your life, it's just that. Do the right thing. Ask God for the truth no matter what the cost. And buckle up, because things are going to get interesting, all right? God answers those who cry out. Believe me, I cry out a lot. I do. I pray a lot. Are you? Just means talking. Do it. This is the day we're in. It's going to get weird. All right. I love you.